this too much?
No. In fact, I get laptop to it if you want. I don't mind. Hey guys, we're back with the 6th chapter of the book of Esther, and I'm here with
Esther.
The Esther series, and we get to feature an Esther on it, so yeah, I'm excited. Wait, by the way, what did you say about how you came about your name again? Was it given to you because of this book?
I think it was his father.
It's only right that we let Esther start us off because this is your book. I'll let you lead us, let us know how you found the chapter and just take us through step by step.
Okay. So I thoroughly enjoyed this chapter just because I feel like it was the epitome of in your face. Like that was my thing, like in your face.
It's getting good.
Literally.
Good, like.
Having come from obviously the whole process of like choosing Esther and Esther becoming queen, and you know just the whole process that we've been through with the previous videos. I think this one was kind of like a moment of, I don't know, it's almost like, hey, English is mine.
Don't worry, dear. We are not from this place. We're from Zion. We speak in tongues in Zion. We don't speak in English.
Shar. Yeah.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Guys, I'm delirious. I'm tired, so yeah.
Honestly. This was the part of the book in which obviously we've got the guy Haman who like hates everything Jews, everything that's associated with that, and so he's kind of like he's wanting to plot to basically he wants to tell King Xerxes
Or Ahasuerus.
King
King X.
X. He wants to tell King X that, you know, let's kill the Jews, basically. And so he happens to come at a point where the king has essentially become sleepless and he wants to read. And then he finds that, oh, there was a man that did something. We didn't actually honor him.
Was it recorded in the Book of Chronicles? I wasn't sure in that. I think he had a certain book read to him. Whether it's a Book of Chronicles. Yeah, Chronicles.
Yeah, if it was Chronicles, I would expect it to be a capital C. If it was going to be specific.
Well, I mean, Chronicles is also like an adjective for you describing like what is in the book. So let me just interrupt real quick. We were talking earlier on, and I was trying to figure out why Haman was favored so much over the other princes that used to advise King X. And we actually found that well, some people are saying online that King X might be looking up to Haman. He might just be influential, or because King X was actually quite young and Haman might have been older, that might be why he looked up to him. But there was no clear description there, but that's what we've got so far. Also, we found out that I actually thought it was the Agagites or Amalekites that butchered the Jews every single time they clashed. But it turns out during the reign of King Saul, God had, I don't know if it was directly from God, sorry, I'm paraphrasing heavily right now, but we found out that the Jews were instructed to wipe out the Agagites. So his instant rage every time he sees Mordecai and he thinks about Jews, it sort of makes sense. Yeah. I mean, okay, I'm not gonna make any comparisons, but yeah, no. So I had to share that.
Bring the comparison.
No, let me not. I don't trouble. No, but I had to share that context. I started to hate Haman for being a Hitler, but actually, it's history repeating itself through him, which is silly. But we understand more. Oh. I'm just glad it's on my phone this time.
Because it always is.
That's cool. Yeah, King X wants to, you know, read, and then he finds that, oh, there's someone who wasn't honored, which obviously was Mordecai. And he was like, cool, like, just in time, Haman walks in, he's like, I'm going to tell him that, you know, I want the Jews, basically. And he just so happens to find that King X wants to know, how can I honor someone? So Haman with his big head, right? I'm going to say his big head because it was actually such a big L. Imagine.
Such an idiot.
And the Bible even says,
He must have been thinking about me in the process. And he's like,
yeah, like, what would you do? And he was like, do this, do that, make him wear a robe, go through the town.
Not just any robe, the robe that the king is worn. And ride the horse that the king is ridden. Is that English? Ridden a horse.
Ridden. Yeah.
That the king rode.
Yeah.
I can't believe I passed my university.
And so obviously he's saying all this stuff and he's thinking, it's going to be me, he's going to come to me, he's going to do this. It goes, go and tell Mordecai, the guy that he's against.
go and tell Mordecai.
Can you imagine his face? Can you imagine his face when he's like, do this and this and this for the guy that deserves to be honored by the king? And then he goes, Mordecai.
And so then obviously he does, he obeys. And do you know what's so surprising? I think something I'll talk about now is kind of like, we don't actually get Haman's response or like his feeling until he gets home.
That's fine.
Because I was thinking, how is he? He must have been like.
We don't even hear Haman said, "Yes, king, I'll do it." We just know that it was done.
He did it.
Or do you think he was burning so much that he was just silent through it all?
Contained it. Because surely, if it's enough for him to actually say, "Oh, he must be," now he thought to himself, "It must be me," but he didn't respond to then what happened afterwards. Because that's one thing I remember. I was listening to it as I was like,
"Yo, that's dangerous,
you know what I mean?"
But it might have just been embarrassment, Shane. Because you know when you feel like you're gonna get something, and then reality hits you, and then it's like, "Oh, I'm gonna just chop my L in silence."
Yeah.
It's easy for us to say he was just embarrassed, but that's very true. We actually never see Haman's response.
Literally.
I mean, if you guys have heard about anything about Haman's response to the king, please do mention it. I would love to know.
Overall, he goes back home and he's like, "Oh my goodness!" Like, I don't even know what he even says. I don't know. He told everything that happened to him, and then obviously his wife is like, "Yo, it's hard for you to kill the Jews now because it's wrong." Like
His wife
actually,
is actually such a Judas. I'm sorry.
No.
Verse 12, we see Mordecai returning back home. Wait, no. Yeah, we see Haman, not Mordecai. I'm mixing the two up. NIV says his head was covered in grief.
Yeah.
Then it talks about how Zeresh, his wife, and all his friends are there, and Haman's telling them, like, "Guys, there's fire on the mountain. Like, what I thought we could do is bounce them back." Zeresh also says, "Since Mordecai, before whom your downfall has started, is of Jewish origin, you cannot stand against him. You will surely come to ruin." And Esther actually said something really interesting. So how did you see that at first?
I initially saw that as, because Mordecai is a Jew, whatever plans he had, because Mordecai had been honoured in such a way, him trying to come to the king again and say, "Let's destroy the Jews," he would look at Mordecai and be like, "But he was a Jew, I don't think I would do that." Does that make sense?
I was also saying that actually it might just be because his wife Zeresh might have come to know who the Jews are in terms of like the God they serve, etc. So I was thinking of it from like a spiritual aspect. But then when we checked the history of the Agagites and Jewish people, she might have been saying this now because she knows historically the Jews wiped out his people.
Exactly.
So then that's why she was saying like, "You will surely come to ruin." And thank God for context, man. And I just thank God for his leading as well, because I don't know why I was asking you that question before. But it makes more sense now, because I was just thinking, wait, you were saying kill him, impale him, but now you're like, you're done for.
Yeah, she knew the background.
I just know she was like the wife of Lot. I know she ran away. I just know Zeresh ran away.
I don't know him. I don't know this man.
She was moving him off like,
Yappa, 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 yappa.
"It was time to be by your man's side," she said.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's basically that to the end.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very short chapter, isn't it? But
My thing is, what led the king to want to read the book? It's almost like those things where God can get someone to do something, they don't realize that God is using them.
and they don't even have to be a believer.
At all.
God can do anything, absolutely. I think, funnily enough, I think Faith mentioned that whether the second or the third chapter is talking about God's divine strategic planning, and I think this is definitely one of the examples, because we weren't told that this king had any kind of like abilities to see the supernatural. Then all of a sudden he's restless. Well, I mean, he could have anything read to him. He could have a woman come into the room. He could have anything.
Hey.
Yeah, he could have anything, but then he was like, "I need you to read to me the Book of Chronicles." I mean, think about it this way. Who goes to bed thinking, "Oh, I want to read a book of law"? It's like you sleeping saying, "Oh my God, Noria, read to me the history of Manchester."
No. Why?
You know, so no, I think that was definitely God's intervention. Esther and Mordecai get elevated in a parallel story alongside each other. So funnily enough, the book is called the Book of Esther, but it's actually about Mordecai too, and about the Jews. Everybody has a parallel story, which is quite interesting, because as someone is doing this, another person is also in action.
Alignment.
Yeah. Very aligned. But yeah, one thing that I was also saying was like, when Haman was talking about like how to honor the guy, this guy is so cheeky, you know, like he was saying everything the king has, like, let this man receive it, and then proclaim in all the land that this is the man that the king has honored. He sounds like he wants to overthrow him, I'm not gonna lie.
That's very obvious.
Not gonna lie.
That's very
It's
obvious.
giving Game of Thrones.
Like, I never watched that. Okay.
You haven't seen it?
I never watched it.
I mean, yes, I'm Christian, and yes, I've watched Game of Thrones. Is it something that I would encourage?
I don't know.
But I've seen it. Don't judge me.
It's almost like he wanted to have that king for a day moment, and it's like, it's very obvious. Like, I want people to know that even though I'm not the king, that I have that same.
That's so rude.
Yeah, because like if the way in which he was saying you should go out and be told this is what is done for the man that the king delights to honor, it's almost like you're giving people recognition that look how it would look like for me to be king. Does that make sense?
Yo, be careful of Hamans in your life.
Yeah.
No, but for real, like that's very cheeky.
Another point, because I think you kind of mentioned initially how King X, he probably looks up to Haman. Like it's interesting to see how he didn't even he didn't question what Haman was saying in this moment. He was he literally came, he asked him what should be done for the man that the king delights to honor.
What verse are we in?
Verse 6.
6, okay.
And then the king is like, go at once. It's like there's no question. It kind of makes me think, I think you kind of mentioned it already when you were doing the reading, the contextual reading before.
Do you think that Haman's people might have had a link with the king's people for him to be so naturally favored? Because yes, I get rich people flock with rich people, but you can't just be rich. You need something that makes you influential. I guess that's just more homework to do.
Yeah.
That was very reckless of him, because Haman could have decided, I've got the king's signet ring now, and he could implement lies, but he could have decided to create laws that the king was unaware of in the king's name, which is insane.
I just love the fact that in the next verse 11, more like Haman is the very person saying, like he becomes the mouthpiece that says the very thing to his, essentially the enemy that he wants to kind of, bring down. If we try to relate it to today, you never know. I feel like you may find that in certain situations, you have your, not enemies, but people who seek the worst for you. And like God can just be like, what? You're going to be the person that raises up the very person that you seem to dislike.
1 Corinthians 1:27 says, but God hath chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. God hath chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty. The same person you want to impale is the one that you will be a stepping stone for. Guys, we need to humble ourselves.
That's the one thing against mind, humility.
Humble yourself, so like when God is lifting someone up, you will also go up. Not that one person goes and you go down due to your bad mind thoughts. Ooh.
That's what I love the most. It's almost like that sense of like, yeah, got you in your face. Like this is
I
what
like
you.
that.
I'm not. It's like I feel like it's not from a place of like people deserve that, but I think it was almost good.
He deserved it.
Yeah.
He
You know what bad things for your enemies, love your enemies, all that stuff. But I feel like it was nice to see. It's almost like a teaching lesson for us, as you said. Having that
Guys, I'm so sorry.
Because
you pray in love for your enemy. You pray that God will change their minds. But if they still consist,
I'm giggling.
if they still, there's consequences for every action. If you want to consist being a demon, you get demon punishment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't feel sorry for that man. Sorry to that man. Anyway, that's pretty much it. I feel like this chapter was kind of like a bridge to the next on what happens. Like we get to see the repercussions of Haman's actions. Yeah, that's it for now. I mean, do you have anything else you'd like to share? It doesn't have to be exactly from here.
I feel like the one thing that's coming to mind is almost like be patient in the waiting process, or like if you feel like there is something that you deserve, or at least there's some sort of something that you're waiting for that God is about to do, just be patient in the process, because Mordecai, as you said, was just a game man. And like even now, like as you were saying, as we're kind of rounding up, one verse that kind of screams out to me is that afterwards Mordecai returned to the king's gate, and it's that thing of like, even though this has happened and God has like sort of honored him in that way, or like the king has honored him in that way, there's still that sense of humility that he's gone back to his place.
Ooh, back to the fire. I'm sorry.
Like after, I'm like, I'm not gonna
awesome.
stay where I am down here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like the first point is wait for God to do a thing. You never know what he will do and how he will do it. He will use your enemies to almost like bring you to that place of elevation, but then also in that elevation still remember where God has placed you, the position
where
that
you're
he's
coming
placed
from.
you.
Don't get lost in the sauce. Don't get carried away.
Literally.
It's a really good one.
Yeah.
Thank you. Wow.
Yeah.
Good Pastor Esther. Queen Esther indeed.
Right.
Right, Hadassah. All right. She's wise indeed. Why do you think they chose her?
Oh, glory!
I really appreciate you, and yeah, thank you.
Thank you. This is great.
But yeah, guys, like, share, comment, subscribe. Esther's name will be featured on my Instagram, so you know she is a musician, a scientist. She does a lot, so you know, and she does great content as well. So you know, follow, support the team. But yeah, that's all for now, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye.